Welcome back to The Night Shift, your safe space for talking about UFOs, UAPs, NHI, disclosure, and everything else your friends, family, and coworkers are so sick and tired of hearing you go on and on about. Thank you for being here. It's great to be with all of you for another live Friday live stream. I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like I'm a week behind catching up on UFO news. And I just did a quick scroll through Reddit, and it looks like there's a full-scale alien invasion happening. If you just looked at Reddit and you just scrolled down through like the UFO channels, it's it's just video after video after video of drones or UAPs, lights in the sky over cities, over power plants, over military bases. It looks bonkers. So it's been a busy week. There's a lot going on in that space. And in the midst of all of that, another story has popped up on the radar that it's kind of controversial. We're going to dig into it a little bit today. A mysterious whistleblower, a person claiming to be a whistleblower, has emerged from the shadows of the internet with some very interesting images that they claim are from the Immaculate Constellation program. We're referring to this whistleblower as Mr. Immaculate for the time being, until we come up with a better name. But I think Mr. Immaculate works for right now. So we're going to take a look at the pictures. We're going to talk about them. They were sent to a YouTube channel that goes by the name Strange Mysteries. We have the host of that channel, Nathan, here with us today. We're going to be talking to Nathan in just a little bit. But first, let me introduce my producer and co-host, Xander Jones. Xander, how you doing tonight?
I'm tired already. I'm actually a little bit nervous about tonight. I don't know why. I just feel like there's something in the air tonight, you know? Something's going to happen. Something is going to happen. You know, the world is being invaded by drones. We've got Mr. Immaculate, seemingly this superhero-esque guy, dropping some of the best UAP photography that one could hope for in, unfortunately, the age where AI can make all of it in a heartbeat. But we have to look past that and look at the individual and try and get to the truth. So it's going to be spicy.
It's a spicy meatball. That is a fact. And I think what interested me most about, what first caught my attention about this story was the quality of the pictures, because they looked so good. They were just stunningly good. They're not like... It's weird because it's a different type of metric that we have to apply for what's good and what's not good in the UAP space. But these are beautiful pictures, and some of them are very unique, and they look unlike anything I've seen yet. So it kind of, that caught my eye. And then I started to look on, of course, the various Reddit subreddits to try and find out more about this story. I saw it pop up there a few times. I saw it on YouTube. I looked at the Strange Mysteries YouTube channel, but when I went on Reddit, one of the things that jumped out at me was like the comments under the videos didn't start out like, oh, this is really interesting, and they weren't asking questions. A lot of them were just like straight out of the gate, really negative, which to me is almost always a red flag because of the amount of brigading and bot attacks that happen on Reddit. And I always kind of look at that with a sideways glance, like, is that legit? Are these real comments? So I started looking into the story a little bit more, and I watched a few of the videos. And the host of the channel, Nathan, is this kind of unfolding drama, because you're going back and forth. We'll bring Nathan on in just a second, but he's going back and forth with this whistleblower, this person who claims to be a whistleblower. They sent an email to him, and he's communicating back and forth and reading the email back and forth to the audience, and then sharing some of the images that have come through. And the way that this person writes and talks and discusses this topic is very interesting. And Nathan seems genuinely confused about why they send it to him and what this is all about. And I was just talking to some people in our community about it, and we all have so many questions. So I thought we would invite Nathan onto the show and see if we could talk about this and what's going on. And then, just as we were about to do that, I had just emailed Nathan that morning. That afternoon, I was in a live stream, and lo and behold, apparently, according to sources, Mr. Immaculate was in the chat for that episode. So I don't know if Mr. Immaculate's watching today. If you are, or tonight, if you're there, welcome to the night shift. If you're not, hopefully you'll see this later and we can talk. But in the meantime, let's bring Nathan on. Nathan, welcome to the night shift. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you? Nice to see you guys. And yeah, he is watching. Just assume that any content that is made or comment that is made about him, he sees. Like he sees everything.
Mr. Immaculate.
Yeah. In fact, like he's watching this right now, and like at certain points, you can ask me a question, and he might respond. Like he'll just send an email to me.
Oh, so he's not participating in the chat. We couldn't use the screen name to suss out who this person is. This is.
I don't know.
It could be anybody. They could be in the room with me right now if I turn around.
They could be. Now, as I mentioned, he had a statement that he wants me to read. He emailed this to me like an hour ago. Just
okay.
Randomly.
Do you want to open with that statement, and then we can back up a little bit and give people sort of a review of where we're.
Yeah,
where we're at?
He really wanted to emphasize reading this statement first.
Okay.
This was very important to him. So I'll just read this. I could put it on screen, I guess, but.
Yeah, throw it on screen and then read it.
Let me make sure.
Should we? Okay. Does it? Not to make light of it, but should we cue some dramatic music?
I can do that.
I can cue some.
I guess if you want. Let me just make sure that I got everything okay. Like whenever I'm like moving stuff around on my screen, I have to be careful.
I would suggest just reading it out, to be honest, rather than sharing screen. As soon as we start sharing, I don't know if you have it like in an email or something, but
it's in a
is
PDF.
It worth the risk? Oh, it's a PDF. Okay, that's not so bad. We've got the eerie music, so
I'll just read it.
Right.
Okay, written statement of Mr. Immaculate. For the live stream event, mysterious leaker drops new UAP images on the Night Shift channel. Friday, December 6th, 2024. Mr. Clint, distinguished members of the Night Shift community, Strange Mysteries, and to all those joining us today, I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. Good afternoon. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and commend the efforts of Team Night Shift and say unequivocally, yes, I was in chat during your live stream. Quietly observing the dialogue and the exchange of ideas was a reminder of how important it is to have voices like yours in this conversation. I commend your dedication to this subject, and I hope we can continue to foster such meaningful dialogue moving forward. I want to thank Mr. Clint for the leaker music, which added an unexpected but appreciated touch to the discourse. However, I'd be remiss if I didn't share my personal favorite track in this genre, Anticipation by David Fesliyan, a piece that I find particularly fitting given the nature of the discussions we are having today. With regard to the generous invitation extended by Mr. Clint to appear on the show, as much as I value open dialogue, I must regretfully decline. While I recognize the value in open dialogue, the matter of my safety remains a serious consideration. As much as I appreciate Mr. Clint's offer, it is a challenge to guarantee safety in an environment as complex and, at times, unpredictable as this one. You may be able to mask my voice, but you won't be able to conceal my tone, inflections, or accent. We must remain cautious about our disclosures and approach. As for the UAP footage, particularly the 4K material that has been requested, I must be clear. I am not yet in a position to share such content. To release this footage would effectively narrow the circle of those with access to it. This is not an issue of reluctance, but one of necessity. Perhaps not wanting to find myself staring down the barrel of a gun in some remote ditch in the Nevada desert is also a consideration. Furthermore, I want to emphasize that this conversation extends far beyond this live stream and its immediate audience. It's safe to say, and without a doubt, that the intelligence community, along with other stakeholders, are watching closely. A great many eyes are on this stream, and that speaks to the gravity and increasing significance of what we are discussing. So, to everyone tuned in, both in this space and beyond, let's proceed with a sense of responsibility and awareness. To the members of the intelligence community watching this, I wish you all a good afternoon and hope you find value in this stream. I know I certainly will. Lastly, Team Night Shift and Nathan, why not take a moment to say hello? You're not just speaking only to your audience tonight, you're speaking to a much broader spectrum of individuals and institutions. With that, I will sit back and allow for further engagement from those who are part of this conversation. Thank you and good afternoon, and let the Holy War begin.
Okay.
The
Just so you
Holy
know,
War.
Nathan, your camera is you've got a very low frame rate on your camera right now. I don't think it's our end, so I don't know if there's something you can do about that.
OBS is I mean, I would not know what setting to change in OBS.
Okay.
It's working like the frame rate with an OBS. It looks like locally looks fine.
Okay.
I think as long as we can hear you, okay.
Yeah.
That's good enough. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for that, Leaker, Mr. Immaculate. Why don't we, before we dig into the larger discussion about this, well, you know what? Let's start there. I think. Oh, did we lose Nathan?
No, I'm
He's still here. He's just muted himself. I think.
Oh, just mute. Okay. I think we're all after the same thing. I think particularly this community, which has been growing healthily and quickly over the last few months, is filled with enthusiastic people that are both new to this conversation and old hands at this. I think we have. I'm confident in saying that I think we've turned a corner. We have not we as in Night Shift, but this issue at large has been destigmatized to a large degree, and the community is now open to anyone who wants to come in and talk about it. You know what I mean? Like we've got, it's being covered on all major news outlets. It's gone mainstream to the extent that this is going to go mainstream until something bigger happens. So I think the conversation has opened up in a tremendous way. For our part here at Night Shift, I think what we're trying to get at is the same thing everyone else is. We want to know more about what's going on, who the decision makers are, what is going to, how disclosure is going to affect the day-to-day lives of the average person, and how that's going to change the way that we do business here on Earth and as a society and as a culture. I think that between the artificial intelligence, non-human intelligence of the, I guess, extraterrestrial variety, if you will, and climate change, we have three major issues facing us, and these are the ones that are going to change the direction of our civilization. So with that in mind, we just want to get to the bottom of it as much as we can. I understand that leakers are in a very difficult position, and it must be terrifying to be in that kind of situation where you know that people have been murdered for doing things like this, and that continues to go on. So I can't imagine the pressure that one must be under when they're trying to get out information to the larger community. But I guess my big question, and the one I want to dig into today, is how do we know what is legitimate and how do we know what's a distraction, and is there a way that we can kind of drill down on that and get past this? We're in this weird phase of like murky information where it could be real, it might not be real. That doesn't really move the needle for anybody. So we've got to get past that. And what is that going to look like? So with that in mind, Nathan, let's back up a little bit and let's set the stage or set the table for people who aren't familiar with this story. Tell us about Strange Mysteries. The history of your YouTube channel is the thing I think most people are interested in learning about first, because you weren't primarily a UFO UAP channel, and then you get this email and things change. Can you take us back a little bit and give us some context for what your channel is about and when this all happened? And
Yeah,
we can go from
so my channel, I started about 9 years ago, and it was just kind of about mysteries, hence the name. As I started to move forward, I wanted to get much more into legitimate mysteries, or like mysteries within the realms of science and stuff like that. So we started to like bring in a lot of research papers, kind of like dense stuff. And I was going like really hard in that direction, and that everything was actually going really well. At about 2017, my business partner at the time committed fraud against me, kicked me off the channel, and like took a bunch of money, and that devastated everything for several years until I had to go through a very complex series of things in order to get back to my channel, and like almost like mentally recover kind of. So in the past few months, I've been just kind of trying a few things out to try to get stuff going on my channel. And then I saw the congressional hearing on November the 15th, and I was like, oh, I'll just try posting some clips of that, see what happens. And then about 5 days after that, I get this email from this person, and it says, as it does in the first video, like, I want to share this with you to share with your audience. And so I'm like, this is a story. We'll frame it as such. And that's kind of how everything went.
So you had a channel with 2 million almost subscribers before this even happened, right?
Yeah, and that was since I've had 2 million subscribers for a long time.
So
yeah, since like I got my business partner like defrauded me.
And when did that happen? What year was that?
I think it was 2017, I believe.
So your channel was at close to 2 million subscribers, and then you had a falling out with your business partner, and then the channel kind of stagnated for a period. Is that?
So I had a team. I had like a writer, like a really good voiceover guy, good editor, and all of them then like, well, the writer he tried to come after me for copyright infringement. He didn't really understand that the fact that I had paid him gave me a license. And then he wanted all these like other things for the channel. And I was going to offer him 50% of the channel anyway. It got kind of weird. So yeah, I've been at 2 million for a long time. It's just, I mean, if you're not making videos and you're not getting views, then it's not making any money. And
sure.
It was very difficult to figure out how to revive a sort of magic that we had in the combination of our team.
So I think one of the big questions that jumps to mind is like, why your channel? Why would a whistleblower with super secret, like top tier access to information from the most classified program there is go through a channel that has had a number of setbacks and has been kind of like, dealing with issues like your own channel, versus going to somebody like a George Knapp or a Ross Coulthard or somebody more well-known?
I mean, I'm probably more perplexed than you are. I don't know. Maybe they did like background research on me, and because I mean, I use my real name and everything, and I'm easily accessible. And I know they're a little bit more skittish about sharing things or like kind of working with someone when, like, let's say, like, instead of emailing a person, they're emailing this stuff to like a team, because that way other things can leak out that like they didn't intend. But I think that's more been something that we've realized in the course of our, I guess, 7 or 10 day relationship.
So when you get an email from this person, what is the suffix of the email? Like, you don't have to tell me their email address, but is it a Gmail or is it like Proton Mail? Is it encrypted? Is it?
It's encrypted. It's
through an encrypted mail server?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's going to your Gmail address.
Yeah, which is also a little confusing. Yeah.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. I think to some people who were saying, like, if you were trying to
I
maintain a low profile, why would you do it that way?
I think that sometimes I think that there's more going on to this. Like, for example, the person has mentioned that it's very likely that they're like reading our conversations. And so you think about that, and it's like maybe a lot of the things that are mentioned or talked about is some form of counterintelligence or to confuse certain people, or I'm not exactly sure. He hasn't asked me to like use Proton Mail, or something else. I tried to get him to use RSA encryption, like manually, and gave him like my public key and stuff, and then we just kind of, he was just like, whatever.
Did you have any, like, so what was your tie or connection to the UFO community prior to this email coming to you? Did you have any connection to the UFO community at all?
No. I purposefully like move my channel in a way to where like we're looking at research and stuff like that. The closest would be like Oumuamua, if I covered that at all. That thing from Avi Loeb.
Mm-hmm.
There are some videos on my channel that were written by Avi Loeb, but they were just like articles he wrote on Medium, and he gave me permission to use. But no, like I moved away from things that were stigmatized, honestly.
So you were actively avoiding the UFO subject, more or less.
Yeah, but then when you start seeing like all this stuff in Congress and everything else, I'm like, okay, I think like this isn't necessarily stigmatized as much anymore. So I was like, okay, like I can, if this is mentioned in Congress, like I think I can probably post these clips. And so I did.
Do you all right, so well, let's back up a little bit more. Take us through that first email. What was the email? What were they trying to tell you, and how did you react when you got it? And this came through, you said, about 10 days ago.
Oh, by the way, you want me to read a few things he just sent me, or
Sure.
okay, he said something that maybe we don't want to piss off security services. I don't know what that means. He also said I was not the only channel, so he contacted other ones. But at the same time, I still feel like I'm a little obscure, or like ranking wise.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like there could be like a broader answer on that. But anyways, let's go back to your original question.
So you get this email. Were you trying to get your channel back up off the ground when the email came through, or were you just kind of in stasis and it came through and then you were like, "Holy shit, this is a story"?
I was actually trying to get it back up off the ground, but I mean, I hadn't posted for like a month, and then I started posting clips from the congressional hearing.
Gotcha. So when this email comes through, what was it? What did it say? And how did you react to it?
1 second. Let me see if I can. I have so many emails.
Can I just point out the original statement that Nathan read out at the start? For those that, you know, we had it last week with Liberty Wing. Is the channel doing this for their own publicity? Do you know what? Like, we had that with last week with Liberty Wing.
Yeah.
Did he delete his own channel? And with Nathan, we've had the same questions. Is Nathan doing this for his own? Is he doing this all himself? Some elaborate sort of way to promote his channel? In that opening statement, I can't remember the artist name, but you couldn't pronounce it. That is one hell of a very good lie. If Nathan has done this himself and he's intentionally mispronounced an artist name, that, my friend, deserves an Oscar. So I'm confident that Nathan is not the one doing this. I think I fully believe him. He's doing everything like by the book, and he's just as confused as he says he is. And yeah, so I think we can wipe Nathan being a suspect off the table, And now we can focus on the actual Mr. Immaculate. Who is he? And is he legit? Because I'm not concerned at all about Nathan being legit at this point.
Well, yeah, I think that's the big question is like, if you were trying to revive a channel and
Like-
you had an eye for media and you were clever and you,
Yeah, I have a
you know,
motive,
it wouldn't, you could totally whip up a story and like run with it and people will buy it.
it would be at this point it would be very clever. I don't know if I'm that clever to do all the stuff that happened. I'm kind of lazy sometimes, honestly. Yeah, but
So then that's the question is like, what you get an email, it's got a bunch of photos. This person says they're from the Immaculate Constellation program, which is like the most top secret, super secret, ninja level program supposedly that there is,
Well,
and
they said
that
they're
no
from-
one knows about it.
they said they're from the Legacy program. If there's a difference,
But didn't they say reference Immaculate Constellation in the first email? I think I remember you reading it in one of your videos.
Let me pull up the email. At this point, I have a lot of just files and stuff. Give me
And
one
I'm gonna
sec.
I'll come right out and say it like and I'm talking to the leaker if the leaker's listening or watching, and I assume you are.
Yeah.
You know, here's our concern. You know, if you've already picked out your own background music and you already came up with your own name, Mr. Immaculate, you know, it sounds like you're kind of like working on your image a little bit. I feel like a government leaker that's afraid for their own life has less, more important shit to worry about than which background music they want and what their name's going to be.
Yeah, he's also like
Clint, of all people, you should know that the background music is very important to
Oh,
any
it's
product.
vital. It's critical, but that's our job. We're the one. We'll do
like
the background.
he's given me unsolicited advice about my YouTube channel several times.
Such as?
like do this or do that. Like some of the things were a little I'm not sure how much I can like mention of the things that he explained because I haven't like really asked, but one of them was like, okay, so people were kind of making fun of like the way that I talked or read certain things instead I had a speech impediment or of some sort or something like Elon Muskish.
Right.
And he's like, what you should do is you should use AI to figure out what problem you have with your speech. This was a very rude message to get, actually. Figure out what problem you have with your speech, and then tell everyone this is the problem that you have with your speech, and then make a donation to a charity for an undisclosed amount for that problem, and then tell everyone, and then everyone will feel bad. And I'm like, what?
Okay, we're getting into the weeds on this. Go back to the email. What was in this email? How did you react to it? I'm not buying this right now. I'm not buying this at all.
Okay.
I'm not you personally, Nathan. I'm just saying like whatever this leaker's trying to pull, like I'm not buying it. So I need to hear more. You got to sell me on this. So what's going on with this email? It comes through. I've seen the pictures. We've all seen them. They look amazing, but I can go into Midjourney and fart out amazing images all day. We all know that. So the question is like, who is this person? What's their deal? Are they for real? Are they sitting around like giving you YouTube advice and looking at background music? Or are they working at a government office somewhere where they're fearing for their lives when they walk to the car because they think that it might be someone sitting in the back seat? That's what we want to know.
Okay, my first reaction to the email was, what the hell is going on? And if this is true, this has kind of happened to me before with someone else, very like pre 2017. I'm like, okay, well, this is a story, and I'm like, okay, if you're gonna do this, then I'll give you a stage to perform or whatever on. That's that. I guess that was my feeling on it. Like, the name of the channel is Strange Mysteries, and it's just like, okay, well, this is a mystery. Hopefully this isn't like BS, but.
So tell me what is the content of the email? What did the person get sent to you? What was the message?
Let me pull it up real quick.
For the people who haven't seen your other videos and who haven't already heard me kind of walk them through it, let's just go through. And I'm not trying to put you personally on the spot. What I'm trying to do is cut through the bullshit because I think there's a lot of questions. I mean, there's every other day there's some new person claiming to be a leaker with some real like a powerful new image that's going to change the world, and we all drop what we're doing and run over and like pay attention to it. And I think that's up to some degree that's intelligence services just fucking with this community, which I think is rampant.
If I may, it's I want to get to two things: credentials and evidence. So you've got evidence in the form of photography, and we'll take a look at that 100%.
Yeah.
It's the credentials part that I think we're trying to nail down here. Obviously, he's not going to go and show us his security badge because that would dox himself. But we have to try and find some way to establish who this guy is. And if we can't get a name, then we need to verify in other ways. So by virtue of the knowledge that they have and anybody else that can corroborate their story.
I would say this, I would add this to dovetail off of Xander's point. If Mr. Immaculate wants to have any longevity in this space at all, this story is dead on arrival unless something else follows it immediately with some more information in it, because what there is right now is like a nothing burger. It's interesting, and the story is interesting, and people saying that Nathan is full of shit, I think that's interesting because they said Bob Lazar was full of shit too. Everybody's full of shit until they're not. So I'm not closing the door on this at all. I think that there could be a there, but we're going to have to get to it at some point. We can't spend 2 hours running around in circles trying to chase our own tail. So what is in the email? Let's go there. And
you ready?
Ready.
Okay. November 22nd at 1:25 p.m. my time. I hope this message finds you well. I am reaching out with information that has been classified and intentionally withheld from the public regarding unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, and the ongoing covert operations surrounding them. My decision to reach out to you has not been made lightly, and I am fully aware of the risks involved. I initially considered other individuals to share this information with, including another creator who expressed interest but was unable to commit due to other obligations. However, given the sensitive nature of this this material and the extreme precautions necessary to protect my identity, I believe you are the best suited to handle this information responsibly. Many traditional media outlets would require verification of my identity and credentials. This is not feasible due to the risks involved. These organizations, despite their best intentions, are not equipped to handle the level of secrecy and potential retaliation associated with this information. However, I will tell you that I was part of one of the legacy programs overseen by a parent program. I know that's vague, but unfortunately, that's all I can offer at this point. You know I can't say what program or what was the name of this program, right? Well, it was called the Immaculate Constellation program that you are familiar with now. The images I'm providing here have been carefully anonymized. I've ensured that they have been made accessible to hundreds of people within the system. This way, my identity is shielded, making it far less likely that I can be traced as the source of this leak. These images, captured through various intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance collection methods, show clear evidence of what has been termed orbs and motherships. Different shapes operating at various sites of extreme sensitivity. Among the locations featured are nuclear deterrent bases, and these objects are clearly surveilling these sites, sometimes within close proximity. While I am not prepared to discuss the incidents associated with these images further, it's important for you to understand that these files are not available online. I urge you to use any method at your disposal, reverse image searches, analysis by your community, or whatever you need to do to validate these materials and convey their authenticity to your audience. My responsibility here is to ensure the truth is brought to light. How you choose to proceed is up to you, but I hope the evidence I've provided will speak for itself. And then he attached the first drop of photos.
Can we show the photos? I know the ones that you've already shown in your videos.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got
Pixet and Pixet 2. I imagine it's Pixet. That's the one with the cruciform, the drone footage of a downed ARV that's been blurred out.
Let's take a look at that.
I can also give you a zip file with all of them and WhatsApp.
I think I have them.
Okay.
Oh, is this the one with... Yeah, okay, all right. Let me just share this.
I think the thing well, of many things, like these pictures are very compelling. And we've had some people internally at the night shift headquarters look at this with military background and experience, and particularly looking at the HUD display on these pictures, the reticles, the crosshairs, to just tell us if that looks like anything they've seen before in their service in the military. And I've had two people say yes. It doesn't look like, they haven't worked with all these platforms, but these do look legitimate, which I think is interesting. If we scroll through these,
I think that's pretty hard for AI to fake just like off the bat. Would be accurate, sort of the HUD of the
Have you
whatever
guys
technology
used AI image tools like a lot or
Yeah.
very much?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because usually you don't get something clean like this.
the sphere though is pretty
It-
easy to do.
It'd be much easier to just make these manually.
That's true. Yeah, the sphere you could do, the teardrop.
Those are fascinating, and we've talked about those probably more than any other photo.
This looks like the Millennium Falcon going in to land on Yavin.
Now, also, I can tell you, I did a lot of image forensics on these, and like you compare the image forensics from, there's a website where it can do like air level analysis and stuff, and there's a very clear signature that AI generated photos show compared to like real photos. Now, you could trick that by maybe printing out the images first and then scanning them, but there's a lot of things in these images that add up. Like when you look at how light's being like shown from the sun and stuff like that, especially in the other image drops.
This is one that we looked at quite heavily. I think one of our moderators did, because we even noticed there's a cursor down here in the bottom part of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like these could have been played back on a screen, screen grabbed, then printed. Is that what the idea is? This was printed on paper and then photographed and sent over, or are these screen grabs from a playback?
I don't know.
I know. I'm putting you on the spot. It's not fair to you, and I'm not. I think I'm just coming in a little hot on this because like we really want this to be real. They know we want this to be real, and that's what they're going to exploit. And that's the thing that
the frustration comes when, like, I've been waiting for not necessarily like all of these photos, but there's a few of these photos that, if they are real, they're without a doubt in the top 5 best photos the UFO community has ever seen. We're talking about the sphere and the teardrop, namely, and maybe the cruciform. And the fact that they've turned up in the midst, and it's probably not by accident, is the fact that they've turned up in an age where photography just doesn't floor anyone like it used to. It's a little bit frustrating for me personally, because 10 years ago, this would have been, that's it, closed, like, case shut, guys. We have the truth. Whereas now, this is, you can't, you'd be irresponsible to believe this off by heart. Like, just looking at it now, it would
show
be
them the teardrop. Show them the teardrop.
Let's look at the teardrop.
So we've heard various descriptions of different types of craft, particularly in the Immaculate Constellation document that is on Nancy Mace's website. You can go there. It's linked on teamnightshift.com. You can go under research and you can click that link. You can go straight to the Immaculate Constellation documents. And in there, it describes the craft that are most commonly seen. And there's, boomerang, and there's triangle-shaped craft, and there's spheres, which seem to be the most common. And then you've got this beautiful picture of what appears to be some type of a teardrop-shaped vehicle, and then there's a sphere that looks just as clean as this. Some people in the comments have pointed out that this looks remarkably similar to the ship in Flight of the Navigator, the Disney movie from like 1984. And I went on a little bit of a YouTube search, and I found a number of shots of that ship, and they do look pretty similar. But there's a little confusion because this movie, some people have suggested that it was used to sort of disseminate as a form of soft disclosure some concepts about these craft. And let me see if I can pull up this shot. Here we go. And I'll send this to... let's see
You
if I
can just
share
share it straight away if you want.
Yeah, let me share the screen here so people can see what I'm talking about. Here we go. So this is from, let's do share screen. So that picture is the teardrop from this email. And the next picture I'm going to share is the Trimaxian drone ship from Disney's Flight of the Navigator.
We can, we'll do a little bit of. There we go.
Do it back and
I mean, it's similar, but it's a passing. It's the same shape. That's about it for me personally.
It's also very similar to this Falcon, which I think is interesting. Someone else pointed this out, and let's see if I can share this shot in terms of shape. Is that coming through? There you go. Not that I'm not saying this is a picture of a bird. I'm saying that like the shapes are almost identical, and I think that's interesting. That's worthy of noticing. So we've got this is the second pick set, right, that came through, and in this
It was
a follow up.
last one.
Is there one more?
No, that was the last one the very last one. There's
Now,
another one with like a table of pictures, but that was the second one.
Okay, so you respond back to this email and you start a dialogue with this leaker, with Mr. Immaculate. And as you have this conversation, they reveal some things to you. And one of them is some information about these types of ships. One that they call the cruciform entity, more or less. Is that correct? Or the cruciform type?
Yes.
Which seems to be a new thing. We've seen stuff, maybe occasionally some suggestions that there might be craft like this, but it's not a very commonly cited thing. Can we show a cruciform? There we go.
Yeah, like it's not mentioned in the Immaculate Constellation report.
Yeah, this one's not mentioned. And what did the leaker tell you about these types of ships? What is the difference between the two?
So he said that those were like more energetic and more like aggressive in a way. If you look at let me try and find the email, but if you look at the second or the third drop of images, you'll see images where the orbs and the cruciform ones are like interacting or like chasing each other or something. He said that they reminded him of orcas. I can attempt to try to find it.
Like this is a hunting kind of stalking activity that we're seeing?
Yeah.
And I think one thing that stood out in one of the initial email exchanges that you had was that they said something like, these ships or these objects have been seen around our military assets, and we think they may be preparing to do something. This may be in preparation for something else. That little statement was in there, which sounded kind of ominous.
Maybe it's the answer to this one question: are UAPs a threat? Potentially, their capabilities suggest that if hostile, they could bypass all known defenses. However, no direct aggression has been observed on a large scale.
So maybe the leaker can respond to this. Here's a question: Is what we're seeing in these photographs? I'm just asking directly to the leaker. Is what we're seeing in these pictures related to the drone UAP sightings that are happening all over the world right now, in New Jersey and in the UK and over Lakenheath and Langley, all these different bases, power plants, nuclear installations. If you go on Reddit right now and you just scroll through and look at the UFO communities, it's one after another of videos of people staring at the sky, tons of lights in the sky, and they are freaking out. It looks like the part of the movie where the invasion starts. Is what we're seeing here tied to that, aside from the fact that they're both ostensibly NHI?
Well,
and does this leak have anything to do with the timing? Is it related?
I guess we'll see if he responds.
Yeah.
But there was during that started happening, especially in the UK. He kept telling me to go look at Reddit and look at the drones flying over the UK, and like he was very interested in it. He didn't say anything about them being connected. He did mention that he wanted to like release things during important world events, or like important things happening.
Did you get any sense from this person about what their objective is? Like, okay, let me clarify. If I'm going to take a risk, if I'm going to risk my life, if it's that serious, and by leaking this information, I run a substantially higher than my comfort threshold risk of getting murdered or disappeared. I don't want to half-ass it, no offense, and just throw it out to some random people on YouTube. I want to do something bigger. I need to have an impact that's going to be felt. Now, you could make the argument that we're talking about it, so that's something, and we're having this dialogue, but it just seems like the risk doesn't equal the payoff. Did you have any sense, Nathan, of like when you're talking with this person, where their head's at, or are they being cagey about that?
They were being more cagey about it. Like it seemed like it was just like, okay, it was important for the public to know, especially in light of all the events happening in the world right now. It almost seemed like by the way, the part at the end of that initial like thing that I read about like, let's start the holy war, that was something I added and he said was okay. But it kind of feels like his mind is in some sort of like I have to do this for humanity or something like that. And he mentioned like pre-planning and stuff like that. And as far as motives, it was just that. There wasn't much more.
What was the latest communication that you've gotten? The most recent?
So what happened is, so you know how I told you about what he told me to do when people were making fun of like the way I was speaking?
Mm-hmm.
He just emailed me and he's like, he didn't like that, and then he just deleted his email address.
Wait, just now?
Yeah.
So wait, I don't understand. What you mean? You just talked about that, and then this person got bent out of shape and deleted their email?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Who said that?
What were they annoyed by?
They said that I undermined their credibility.
What?
And then,
Well, don't write stupid shit in an email. Like you undermine your own credibility when you write an email like that. Like that's not Nathan's fault. Like what are you talking about?
I mean, yeah, you kind of got to be careful. Like you got to think through like everything. I think that you send in an email.
I think, yeah, 100%. Go on. I'm sorry. I'm just.
He might try to contact me in the future. I don't know. I mean, this is like a random update that just happened. So, yeah. So he deleted his email address.
Well, case closed, guys. I guess we can all go home. I mean, I don't know what to say. I think, look, we want to, and I think this is true of most of us in the UAP disclosure community. Yeah. We want to extend a platform to people who have some legitimate information that they're trying to share. We want to do it in a way that's respectful and that is protective of their identity. And I think to the extent that we understand how to do that, we will. But you are also dealing with a YouTube community that is mostly made up of people doing this part-time. that have other careers, other jobs, responsibilities, and who aren't necessarily professional journalists. So it's a tightrope and it's a balancing act to get it right. But I would also say that
It's like
go ahead.
You mentioned, or I think it was Xander mentioned credentials, and I felt that that type of technique, what I had suggested or what I said that he told me to do, seemed like something that would come from like a CIA handbook or something.
Donate to a charity
Yeah.
and make people feel bad.
Yeah, like that, and because it was just such a weird thing. That was so. I guess that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah. I think the attitude in our community, especially here at this channel, is like, we're not here to tiptoe around your feelings. If you're a leaker and you're for real, then show us some shit. If you're not, then don't waste our time. That's the end of the story, really. I mean, we just don't have time for this bullshit. We're all working.
I know how you feel, man.
And I'm not, yeah, I'm not trying to put
think,
you on the spot, but it's just
potentially as a reasonable segue to just connect to the drones and stuff. And I think you mentioned that this leaker might come forward at times of world events happening, and the drones are very much a hot topic right now, and especially what's going on in New Jersey. They look like AI generated aeroplanes. Do you know what I mean? Like the lights that we're seeing on these planes aren't correct. They look weird from my very amateur perspective, but they don't. These drones that are flying very low over New Jersey, in particular, they look kind of like aircraft, but at the same time they're like not really aircraft. And Clint, it reminds me of that Terence McKenna clip that you love, and I'd like to play it before we bring Pavel in, because Pavel has joined.
Oh, great. Pavel's here.
So if you don't mind, I'll play this clip, and maybe we just talk about this clip and how it relates to what's going on right now, because everyone's so confused.
We're all confused. Play this clip.
I have a lot of opinions on the drones too.
We'll get into it. Let's play this Terence McKenna clip.
Can you use the bump to get us into the Terence McKenna clip? Can we jump to the bump first?
The bump?
Yeah, the little 6-second bump, remember?
Oh, yeah, of course.
We've got this thing. We never use it.
There we go. Here we go. Here's Terence McKenna, everyone.
Only going to get weirder. The level of contradiction is going to rise excruciatingly, even beyond the excruciating present levels of contradiction. So I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. And at that point, novelty theory can come out of the woods, because eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
He's right, man. He's right. And here's Pavel.
He nailed it. He nailed it. Pavel is here from the Psychoactivo podcast. Pavel, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Hello, Nathan. Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you.
So Nathan, you are now part of the UFO UAP conversation. you're in it deep. We've brought you into the circle. Tell me, more about your opinions on the drone situation right now, and then let's bring Pavel into this conversation. And I'd like to expand this to talk about just current events, because it seems like there's some crazy stuff going on right now.
So from the footage I've seen from the drones, I mean, it looks like they're drones. They have lights on them, like they want to be seen. My dad actually had a thought on it, like, okay, the drones must be being launched locally, because you can't have that long of a battery life unless they're like sitting somewhere and solar powering, which would make them like vulnerable. I also suspect that, let's assume it's a foreign adversary. So, you can easily program these things to just like crack into Wi-Fi networks, intercept like cell phone communications, It's probably why some of them are going down to Mar-a-Lago. Just crack into Wi-Fi networks, get all that stuff. And then if you were to like say try to take one down, which because I was confused, like why isn't someone just run their drone into like one of them, or like just try and capture or shoot it or something. And my thought would be if I was that person launching those drones, that I'd probably program in like a self-destruct mechanism.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen anyone do that, or that happen or be reported. I also joined a Facebook group that was just like New Jersey drones to like try and get more information on stuff, but there wasn't that much stuff there. I mean, I don't know why they're in this. I don't know why people aren't doing anything about it. Like, take a gun.
Yeah, right. Pavel, where are you at on this drone flap that's going on right now? You and I were texting back and forth a little while ago, exchanging some videos and stuff, and there's some crazy shit going on. Where is your head at with this?
I just had a woman who owns a cafe in New Jersey, Olivia D'Amadio, I think her name was. And I wanted to get a perspective from someone who lives there, who's been looking at these things and see where their head is at. And she's just as confused as we are. She claims that when she sees them, they have red and green lights and they're flickering sometimes. And they're really fast, as if when you point a laser at a wall and you just move it like this, some of them are that fast. And I don't know of any drones that are that fast, you know? And I don't know what to make of it. I think my guess would be that these, if they're not doing anything about it, we have only two options. Either they already know what they are and they're not doing anything about it, or they can't really do anything about it despite they don't know what they are, you know? But in both cases, they can't really do anything about it. It's,
I think
I
they
can
want to
sense the
collect the data.
frustration. Yeah.
Go ahead, Nathan.
I think they want to collect the data that and the things that they're doing or they're trying to do, and that way they can get a much better idea of where they came from. So,
There's a video going on, going around right now. There's a bunch, but the DOD just did a press conference. This was yesterday, 20 hours ago. DOD Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder briefed reporters today that Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin signed a classified strategy for countering unmanned systems, aka drones. The quote, the DOD is orienting around a common understanding of the challenge and a comprehensive approach to addressing it. There's your admission right there. This is what Chris Sharp said the other day. They can't do anything. They don't know what to do about these things. I had someone, so I was having a conversation with somebody in in the comments section on our previous video, also related to this leaker, about the drones over Lake and Heath and the bases in the UK. And we got into this discussion about there is a weapons a system called the Poseidon torpedo. And the Poseidon torpedo is a nuclear powered, it's a small nuclear reactor powering a torpedo with a cobalt warhead that can basically loiter for an unlimited amount of time. It's got like unlimited fuel. So it can just float around the ocean underneath the surface, and it can go up to the coastline of an area next to a city, explode, and then just send a radioactive tidal wave into the city that would pollute the area forever and make it impossible to inhabit, and you just couldn't do anything for it. And it got me thinking, like, what if there was an aerial version of a similar type of a drone that maybe was developed by an adversary, not necessarily non-human in origin, but a drone that was designed so that if you shot it down, it would contaminate the entire area with radioactive debris and make it a huge deal, impossible to really clean up. It could shut down a base for weeks while they try to decontaminate the base. It could make it so you have to evacuate a city. So far, that's the best explanation that I can come up with, that for something that they wouldn't be able to shoot down unless it is truly NHI. It would have to be something so advanced, and it just doesn't make sense that they would have them just loitering around all these different bases. There was another report that came out today This was on CBS. Let's see here. Where is this one? I just had it. It was about the FBI agents that were sent to investigate the drones in New Jersey, having drones follow them home. They actually go to their homes. These individual agents have drones now circling their house after they've looked into this. And it's really, really bizarre.
Something
It's
that I
just
talked
got,
about yesterday, Clint, with David Altman, who was also part of uh, the interview. He was like, "Yeah, but a lot of the FBI agents could also just live there in New Jersey. That may not be connected. That they're being followed, and that can be true." So I just wanted to mention that.
that's a good observation. Good point. Yeah. There's another report. This is from about 5 hours ago on News Nation. Arrow participates in a classified House briefing, and they were just basically summoned to do a briefing for members of the House in a classified setting about this drone situation,
That
which is
just
really
started right
interesting.
now.
That's just now starting.
Yeah, it's obviously classified, but it's just starting. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern time, so it's 3:07, right?
3:07 Eastern. Yeah.
Something that we probably should have clarified with Chris Sharp when he was on last. Was it last week? It was last week, wasn't it? The MOD is apparently on emergency footing. Like there's some sort of emergency setting that they're in right now, and as far as I'm aware, that's not anywhere. Like you'd imagine that would be some sort of news article, but it's not being reported anywhere. So maybe the level of behind the scenes talking is actually much higher than we might think it is. Either we're really wrong and this is all some military exercise, which would make no sense, but whatever, the government makes no sense anyway a lot of the time, or this is actually a lot more serious than we really realize, and the government is just trying to catch up as much as we are.
Well, they've spent so many years saying there's nothing there that now they're in a really weird pickle because they either have to say, well, there is something there, and we don't know what it is, which would be really embarrassing, or there's something there and we do know what it is, but it's not a problem, which is what they're kind of trying to get away with right now. And that's hard to believe. And you have people going, well, how does an airbase with billions of dollars of equipment and sensor platforms and observers not know what's flying above its airspace? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't think anyone believes that.
Are you guys keen? Do you all think that the drones are UAPs or they're made by a foreign adversary?
Pavel, what do you think?
There are a lot of options here, and I'm gonna tell you about what I think could be the options, because there's been a lot of chatter over decades about, well, since the 50s, about this anti-gravity summit that between physicists at the time. The first time I heard about it was Eric Weinstein spoke about it on Joe Rogan, and he gave a really precise and detailed explanation of what that meeting was like. And he's just as puzzled as everybody who has been looking at this story, because they seem to be convinced that the world was about to change with a new type of propulsion and a new type of physics, but nothing happened. And that was really weird because for a time, at least a year or two, even news media articles were coming out saying that the new era was here and anti-gravity was cracked and all that. And out of all of these physicists, Thomas Townsend Brown was not in that meeting. He was working on his own on something different. And Jesse Michaels did a wonderful documentary about all of this. And since then, there's been like these two different timelines where uh, people say that we did crack it and we also reverse engineered it. Uh, and there's the official government narrative that says we don't have that technology yet, and it's really hard to pinpoint uh, which of the both is true. But there has been like a little sea change lately where people like Christopher Mellon or Matthew Pines, who seem to be very much in the know, already talk about adversary countries potentially already having cracked something. So it is a possibility that some of these
You're
may
talking about
be,
gravity control, more
yeah,
specifically.
maybe
Yeah.
human tech of some kind of new propulsion that the world doesn't know about yet. That is possible. And that is something that if the government is not really doing anything about it and not saying that they don't know and that, but they're not aggressive or not a threat, it's possible that they already know and they already have this kind of technology. That is one option. The other one is, well, the one that a lot of people keep going towards, just something from another place. I don't know where I stand, to be honest with you. There's so much information, and there's a lot of it that is compelling. The story about Mark McCandlish, I find it really compelling. A lot of people who have been trying to talk about this, especially in the anti-gravity world and secret tech world, some of them have been silent. Some of them died under mysterious circumstances. You got to look at that info and wonder, is there something really going on with that? Did we crack it?
I think I have something to share in regards to this, and it's from the leaker. So he sent me some new material, or it was a bunch of photos that he had taken with, like, I'm not sure if it was a camera phone or something. It was of documents, and then he blurred out like a bunch of stuff in it, and it was very confusing. And like the only thing you could really see was like it looked like a UAP in a room, which is very odd. And then
You guys nodding in the background.
and then he's like, just delete it. Then he tells me to delete it, so I deleted it. And he had a statement for me to read about that today, that apparently that stuff he was going to give me, which I'm not sure I'm going to get now. The material in question comprises observational data detailing unidentified objects of interest, characterized by distinct shapes and unconventional movement patterns. The accompanying annotations and graphical representations suggest examination of these entities' attributes, possible origins, and situational aspects such as trajectory and location mapping. This document is a component of an ongoing systemic analysis aimed at understanding and cataloging such phenomenon. It kind of looked like they were trying to reverse engineer them, I think is what he's trying to say. And it was a document that would have...
Okay, well,
looked at
I
that.
mean, that's nothing new.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like, it's not. Yeah, I'm with Xander on this. Like, if we were in the midst of an alien invasion, right? Let's just say extraterrestrial, whatever, the thing is happening. Maybe this is it. I've often thought, like, well, what if it was these giant ships the size of a Star Destroyer floating over major cities around the world, because that's what Hollywood shows us, and that's what, we're kind of programmed for. But what if it is just drones showing up, or UAPs in the form of lights just showing up everywhere? And then once we're all kind of used to seeing that, it steps up to something else. It seems strange to me that an adversary nation would deploy their most advanced anti-gravity drone system to surveil American military bases. It seems more likely that you would use that technology for a first strike, last strike, game over attack. Like, you would never see it. If you saw it, it would just be over, like, by the time you see it. So it seems weird to me that they would be, like, just hanging out. There was a video floating around a few months, well, this was, I think, probably a year ago now. Maybe you guys have seen it on Reddit of some drones floating in the air. They look like drones, the UAP. And there's 3 of them, and then they are hit with missiles. Have you guys seen this?
Oh, the flare. They look like flares. Yeah.
Yeah,
But they're totally not, because they get
yeah.
hit and nothing happens.
nothing happens. Yeah.
Wow.
If anybody can find that video, Brett or Chris, if you guys can locate that.
Can I just say something about the leaker?
Go
I don't
ahead.
know. You should probably be really careful by this. Sort of thing.
Yeah, we don't want to hurt their feelings.
No, well, well, first of all, it doesn't look well, just erasing your email. But and no offense to Nathan, because he has a great YouTube channel with a lot of followers, and I saw a few of the videos, and I thought they were presented very well. And I don't think you're lying, uh, but I do think that if people like this leaker want for the information to go out, they need to reveal their identity to someone that is trustworthy. Someone, for example, like Michael Schellenberger, who was put under pressure at the hearing and he didn't reveal his sources. That's one of the only options that I see. They have to give them their DD 214, get the background check, and afterwards, um, it has to be, I think, through a system that is open source, um, and where the identity of the person can be protected and the journalist in question knows what they're doing so they can release the information more safely, you know?
Not just that, but I just from the short time that I've been working with Night Shift, I know these people are reachable. It's not like you're not going to get a reply if you have something worth reading. They're going to read it. So
Like
I
Chris will
fully
take
agree
your
with
call.
you.
Like if you're for real.
I had an email. I had an email from a very prominent journalist yesterday, and I was like, oh my god, he read my email. But to him, he's like, yeah, I'm a journalist. I need to read everyone's emails. That's my job. Like, so yeah, if you want to be heard,
And it's a
in the right
Proton mail
setting-
address, in case the leaker's interested.
Oh, and one thing, I am a journalist, but I did sports for 15 years. So I'm pretty new at all of this topic. I protect my sources. I have done it for many years, but I can understand people that don't think I'm a journalist because I've been at this for just a year or so, you know, and I can understand that. But I do have journalistic experience, 15 proven years. And if anybody wants to share something, I know how the process works. I know how to play that game. So, yeah.
And I think, Nathan, can you speak to this? You don't have to. I don't want to put you in a weird spot with this, but I understand that that someone reached out to you from an organization that can protect the whistleblower.
Yeah,
Can you talk about that?
pretty sure. I mean,
Go.
his name's Tyler. He does. It seems like he does this for kind of like pretty big guys.
You're talking about Tyler from New Paradigm Institute.
Yeah.
Tyler is a friend of mine and a friend of the show, and we've had him on the show. I know
Yeah.
Tyler. He's worked for Dr. Greer. He currently works with New Paradigm Institute as one of their team, and he talks to Danny Sheehan all the time. If this leaker is legit, Tyler is the guy that they want to talk to for sure.
He's one of the best in the field. Yeah.
Yeah, I screenshotted Tyler's email and all the information for him to contact him, and I gave them to the leaker. And then I didn't hear anything about that kind of like relationship starting or anything like that.
I would say that it's safe to say that Danny is and his team are probably 25% of the force, if not more, behind the disclosure legislation in Congress. I don't know to what extent they've actually written how many pages of the legalese that has come from their office, but he is consulting. He's got a team in Washington that this is what they lobby for. This is what they do all day. Their entire focus is to help protect whistleblowers and make sure this information gets out. And he's been doing that for decades. He's one of the most trusted in the field. I just want to share this screen real quick. I've got this. This is what I was referring to before. Let me close all this up here. You guys can see.
I think also like when you get, maybe just because I have just gone through this experience, when you get someone who's whistleblowing or doing things the way that, that just happened to me, I'm not sure that you necessarily have experience doing it until you're put on the spot to do it. It's like, what what do I say here? What do I not say?
That's fair. That's fair.
Like what's personally identifiable? Okay, that's obvious. Like don't say anything like that. I think it's a little bit tricky, but
It's tricky, and I think one of the issues is like, yes, how does one blow the whistle? Like, what is the process of whistleblowing? How does
Yeah.
that work? Who
What
do you
does
talk
the whistle
to?
look like?
What is it? A slide whistle? Is it a gym, like the gym whistle? Is it an emergency whistle? What is the
Like an
situation?
Aztec death siren, when the Aztec death whistles.
Is it that Viking horn thing? I think we're talking about something that is, if what's happening here is we are in a situation where there is a danger to people and this whistleblower is part of a group that is trying to break free and warn people about this is happening. This is something you guys need to know about. It seems like, yeah, there is a path to doing that. And I think that the community is here to help. And we would like to make that path as easy as possible for you, the whistleblower, to go down. And there are people in a position to help protect you legally that are absolutely trustworthy, that are completely on the up and up. And Danny Sheehan and his team would be probably the first place to start. But that, up until the threshold for what counts, what actually moves the needle now is so much higher than it was before. I mean, we've got Tim Gallaudet, a retired rear admiral, sitting in front of Congress saying, yeah, we've had USOs the size of a skyscraper following our ships underwater at 400 miles an hour. We've got, the stuff that David Grush has said, the stuff that Lou Elizondo has gone on record saying, like, we've talked about biologics now. We've talked about the reverse engineering program. The pictures, it's almost like if you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. You have to just go for it, I think. And then maybe that's easy for us to say because we're on the outside looking in, and I don't know what the pressure is like for somebody who's trying to get this information out. But
I mean, like, yeah, I want to experience the thing in order to believe it.
And I think that's the message for Mr. Immaculate. If we want to conclude on this, like, I'm sorry that we may have hurt your feelings in questioning your credentials. I don't even know what that's about, to be honest. But our standard has got to be quite high. Our standard is rigorous. We believe a certain thing, but we're not going to look at every single picture and go, thank you for the factual evidence. That's not how it works anymore. We live in an age where things are faked so easily. So I'm sorry that there's some sort of offense caused, but you're going to have to do harder if you want. You're going to have to try harder if you want us to come in with 100% belief. I want the 100% belief. You know me, Clint. You know how obsessed I am with this topic.
Oh, I know. I know.
I don't think that he was angry about a lack of belief. I think he was angry because he felt that I betrayed his trust.
I don't think there's any betrayal of any trust.
There's been no betrayal of trust.
Absolutely none.
You have not told us anything that you have not already said out loud in a video that this person has already seen. There's nothing nothing is
the one thing I told you was that I hadn't said before about that strategy. That was
the strategy. Well, I would say
15 hours of content.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It
has
nothing.
matter.
It's got nothing to do with anything. And it's kind of like a test. If you can't take this heat, then dude, you're in the wrong kitchen.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be here.
And Clint, this is something that keeps coming up since I started researching this. All of the people that are within government that are trying to do this or find out what's going on, or leakers that are from that branch, I can see the incompetence in trying to communicate a lot of this stuff and trying to understand it too. A lot of them don't know what they're dealing with. And this incompetence is very palpable within the people that are trying to bring about disclosure, that are at the very top, and also a lot of organizational chaos I see within a lot of those groups. And some of the most compelling information and evidence has come not from them, but from citizens. and academics and scientists, and I think that there's like a clear disconnect between the two factions, the government one and the citizen one and academics. And there needs to be like a middle ground they can reach so they can start working together, because since this started 80 years ago, there has been that disconnect that hasn't been like put together, and
When you say incompetence, that's got kind of a negative connotation. What can you be more clear about what you mean by that within that community?
it's just they are trying to do it, but there's a lot of ego involved. There's a lot of they don't know what they're really doing in terms of just communication in general, and
Hmm.
organizational communication. That's where I see the incompetence. I mean, a lot of them are really geniuses at their fields. We can talk about anyone you like, but pretty much none of them have this organizational communication capability to properly tell the people what's going on and disseminate the information properly as they should. And that
I
is
see
something that
what you
has
mean.
been lacking for a while, forever,
I
forever.
think I think that what you just described is exactly the thing that Lou Elizondo has been working on since he showed up on the scene. This is like, it always struck me as so it's very deliberate how he works and does appearances. And when he first started out, he was just talking to anybody. He would talk to people at a YouTube channel that had 200 subscribers. He would talk to anybody who would listen, and he was just out there doing the work, talking, giving interviews, explaining stuff, trying to communicate. I mean, if you're talking about a communicator, Lou is a great one. He's an excellent communicator. And it seemed to me, as I was watching this from the outside, this is before I even started Night Shift. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in this space, and I was like just watching other people. I was like, what is this guy doing? He's not just doing podcast appearances. There's something else going on here. It's like when we send in special forces guys into an area before we launch a ground invasion or something, or before a big operation takes place. We've got like Green Berets on the scene like months, years in advance, prepping the battlefield, getting things ready, working with the local community, getting, figuring out how to train people up and build like resistance inside the area where you're about to operate. And that's like that's what these guys do. And my sense is that Lou is kind of doing that. When I read his book and I was reading about like his dad and all of the stuff that he did getting ready for the situation with Cuba and how he was training for all this, it's like guerrilla warfare. And I got the sense that Lou is like in a way preparing the information battlefield. And he goes out and he basically cultivated a podcast community built around the UFO UAP topic. There were the old podcasts that had been there forever. But when he comes along in 2017 and starts talking to people, this space really takes off. And to your point, Pavel, we are in a position, that's our job, to communicate information and to digest it and to help explain it to people in a way that is understandable. And there's an army of us now that are trying to do that. If we have good, accurate information that we can rely on and we can spread it and put it out there, this is the best time ever for this to happen. If it was going to happen, like Congress is switched on, people are switched on, the issue is destigmatized. It's on every major news network now. It's being talked about all the time. You've got Joe Rogan doing interviews with David Grush, and they're getting 11, 12, 20 million views. He's the biggest podcaster in the world. Like, when, if it's not now, then when? When does it happen?
Yeah, and then there's the first batch, you could say, of the podcasters that started doing this alongside Lou. Then this is something that we cannot keep ignoring. A lot of them changed their tune with Lou, and now many of them are attacking him. So I want to know what happened there between him and all of these people that started this, because you and I and a number of us are very new at this. Like, we just started like not that long ago, and the people that were before us, not all of them, but a lot of them, uh, right now they don't believe what Lou is doing, and I just want to know what happened there to make them act in such a way. Because yeah, Lou has been moving the ball forward, but we cannot ignore that he still is counterintelligence agent, and and although I do believe that he has always presented himself as someone genuine to me, at least, especially in the public, in the limelight. There's all this stuff that is happening in the background that he's gonna have to address it eventually, whether he likes it or not, because that is also hurting the whole process. And I'm not just talking about this UFO Twitter stuff that is happening. I'm talking about the entire UFO community. I'm connected to people within the UFO community that are not on Twitter that also doubt what Blue is doing, despite he's been moving the topic forward, because he has. I mean, he was on the Daily Show, he was on Rogan, he was on the Today Show. He was everywhere after his book released.
Oh,
But
it's
this,
totally a coordinated media campaign. There's no
yeah,
question.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
a
yeah,
coordinated, organized group that is going by the book, by the numbers, step by step to do what they're doing. And I think they play it off like, oh, we're all just like fighting the good fight. But behind the scenes, there is definitely something tying all these individuals together.
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
convinced.
Yeah,
And I think inside the
whenever
UFO,
I guess whenever Dopser is involved, you know it's planned. Because if Dopser's involved, you know the government technically, on paper, approves of what is being said in whatever capacity that might be. They're not necessarily endorsing the stuff that Lou is saying, but they're not prohibiting him. Nobody is prohibiting Lou from anything that he says out loud. We've seen several times, probably 100 times at this point, where he's held his tongue. He's been there. He's been right at that cusp to say something, and he knows that if he went any further, that would be it. So we know that everything he says is approved.
and he said a lot. He
Says a lot in his book too.
Yes,
He said a lot. I do you guys, just the open question for the group here, do you guys get the sense that we are on the cusp of some like intervention or something happening that is beyond the control? Like, are we in it now? Is that what's happening? Do you get that feeling?
I think so. As more people are more comfortable coming forward, it sounds like it's a bandwagon effect.
Pablo,
I
what do you
think that I think that we're on the cusp of multiple things happening at the same time. It is not just whatever you think this these things are in the sky. I think there's a lot of people that are starting to, in a sense, wake up. They are starting to see that the governments have not been honest with the people for the longest time. Um, they are there's this, and I keep mentioning this because I think, and this is the first angle I took on my podcast. Uh, there are innate abilities that we have, and I don't know if that is connected to the UFO phenomenon. It may be, but that is something that is very real, and that it is starting to come out in like multiple ways and through multiple media. And this is something that we cannot ignore, and it is also part of this awakening that I'm telling you about. And even though it sounds a little bit, because I know this term new age has been frowned upon for a long time, but it this awakening is I can, well, I can attest to it because I've experienced things that I cannot explain. And so I think there's a lot of things going on. It is not just this UFO phenomenon. There's multiple phenomena that have been happening for decades now, that a lot of people are experiencing different things. And we are all like saying, okay, this is anomalous. It's happening. I need to find a crowd that understands what I'm going through. And that is why we're getting together and talking about this like we're doing right now. That is what I think is happening. And I'm sorry that I cannot be more specific because I really can't. It's vague, I know, but there is something that it is happening, and we're going through it right now.
It also seems like there are multiple factions or groups that want to get full disclosure, but they all want to go about doing it in different ways. they disagree on the morality or ethics of how to go about doing it.
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
And I got a lot of so from Mr. Immaculate, the leaker guy. I felt a lot. He had a lot of animosity towards Lou.
Based on anything in particular, or
He would cite things that would like something. You know how like in the book he's like seeing orbs,
yes.
and I mean and then he talks about remote viewing. So he would cite those things, and also he didn't. And this was in an email I showed that he didn't like how everything had to be in a skiff. Like, at the congressional hearing, Lou just wanted to talk about certain topics in a skiff with the Congress, people in Congress. Whereas, he wanted to do things that were in a way that wouldn't hurt other people. And then I'd assume if there are other people that feel that where that line should be drawn is happening too slowly. And
Is this but this is the same leaker who was like, disclosure is a privilege, not a right, and you have to I don't want to share anything and no one can know about me. And it's like, well, yeah, but you're just, if that's what Lou's doing, right? Like, it seems like
out of everything Mr. Immaculate has said, that's the one thing that really rubbed me up the wrong way. And all due respect to the guy, like if he's real, I don't know the implications involved of leaking such sensitive material, but to say that the truth of reality is a privilege, that annoys me in a special kind of way. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, like
maybe I don't understand. Maybe
let me
I
just
don't.
say that for the community.
Yeah.
You can just fuck right off with the whole privilege thing. Like, no one's interested in that bullshit. We don't have time for we don't need any prima donnas in here like claiming that they've got the keys to disclosure and we have to all bend the knee if we want to get it. Like, come on. I'll say it. I'm with you though, Xander.
Agreed 100%.
Like, no gatekeeping. If you're going to be for real and you want the community has evolved to a new level now, and we're just not going to take everything seriously anymore unless there's something there. And I think that's the, we're aware that the community has been interfered with, manipulated. There's COINTELPRO tactics being used against the community. You can see it right now in the Twitter space. You can see it, this whole divide and conquer mentality, getting people into these stupid little fights with each other over nothing. Or things that are, minor, and then blowing them out of proportion just to keep everybody arguing and fighting. I think what we're seeing is we're in the middle. It's like when you're in a hurricane. There's when the wind is really whipping by at 170 miles an hour and everything's just going haywire. You don't know what's going on, but then the eye passes over and things calm down for a minute and you can kind of get your bearings. And I think if people step away from the UAP topic a little bit and then come back to it after taking a break, you can see the shenanigans that are going on. There is some kind of manipulation happening in this space. I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on what it is because I think it's a bunch of different factions all trying to do their own thing. I imagine that there's one group, for instance, that is trying to push for disclosures so that they can monetize a lot of this technology in the open market. You can't make the next $10 trillion that could be made on the back of this technology is untapped unless you can get it out of these black programs and into circulation. So you've got to do something with it. This is where that whole thing about the CIA Office of Directorate of Science and Technology with Glenn Gaffney comes into play. He is one of the people who literally just picks the company that gets the stuff. And it's like, you guys, you get this, you get the power plant, you guys get the navigation system, you guys get the metamaterials, you guys get the superconductors, you guys get the whatever, the element 115, and now you guys get to go and research this stuff, and you get to keep the patents on it. There's winners and losers, and when disclosure happens, I think there's a group of people who are like, we want to make as much as we possibly can off of it, and I think there's probably another group that's saying hey, maybe this is our opportunity to step outside of the capitalist mindset framework of everything has a price and everything should be for profit. Maybe there's a new way we can think about this technology, and we could maybe change the way we all live here on this planet in a really dramatic way. I don't know, but I get the sense that there's some kind of rift inside the disclosure faction, and there are probably 2 or 3 different ideas about how that could go.
Yeah, and I keep going to that interview I had with John Burroughs, who was right in the middle of it, because there was a lot of people trying to get his papers that confirmed that he was injured by a UAP
Hmm.
officially signed government papers approved by Senator John McCain that confirmed that. And a lot of these people from the disclosure movement, they were trying to get to those papers, and he's been like really like, no, you're not getting them because you tried to tell my story, but you haven't told the story as I lived it. So fuck you. I'm not giving you anything. But along the way, he found out and he saw a lot of these people in the face and saw the real people that were trying to get these papers. And he was really agitated telling me about this. Like, they want, a lot of them want to be first in line when whatever disclosure happens and is confirmed. They want to be first in line to get either a contract or special access or access to tech, whatever. Yeah, it is something that I believe that will happen and they're trying to do. But that is also tying into all the incompetence and sloppiness of their attempt at whatever they think they're doing.
So, if you don't mind me butting in, I'm not going to look at the camera. I've got too much to do. I'm looking at too many things. So I hope people don't mind that I'm just kind of looking this way.
Xander's office is like the bridge of the Enterprise. It's got like 100 screens.
What Pavel said is completely true, but the fact that the implications of this technology are not compatible with a first dibs process. That's the whole problem here, is that if somebody wants first dibs on a patent, it's like trying to patent water. Like, once the truth is out about how to create the kind of energy levels that we're talking about here, like, it doesn't matter. There's so many whistleblower sources within the community that talk to the amounts of energy required to do the things that these things are doing. It doesn't matter what kind of energy source, whether it be 0 point, element 115, Townsend Brown effect, whatever. Like, you cannot cage that into a profit model. It doesn't work because the first in line, cool, you've got first in line. How long for? Okay, a year. Cool. Second in line. Okay, you're now instantly exactly the same place as the person that's first in line, because this is free energy we're talking about. This levels the playing field beyond hierarchies of first dibs. So that's the incompatibility. Right there is the fact that this won't work, and that's the fact about catastrophic disclosure, is the fact that these companies cannot control it and refuse to not control it, to the point where it's just going to spill over and then that's it. Everyone's going to be scrambling to try and find out what the hell is going on. Everything's going to go full on Terence McKenna up in here. And everyone's going to be like, what? Until somebody just says, here you go, guys. Here's the tech. Everyone now lives for free. That's the end game.
And there's
So it's
another
like-
tech. There's another tech that we haven't taken under consideration, because there's a lot of people, a contingent of investigators and journalists and paleontologists and archaeologists who have been looking into ancient technology that we also cannot ignore, because it is very clear that thousands of years ago they managed to construct things and create things with a technology that we do not have right now. And that is also something that people need to consider. It is not just potential new physics, new science, or NHI tech. It is something that also can be ancient, that maybe our ancestors were able to crack and we weren't. So that
I'd like to change gears a little bit, and if how are you guys on time? Is everybody here good on time for a little bit?
I'm fine.
We might go an extra 15 today because we're getting to calls a little bit late in the show, but I wanted to take some calls from the audience. I noticed we had somebody in our live call-in waiting room. If you're interested in asking a question live on air, please go on our Discord to the live call-in channel, and there's a waiting room there. You can get into the waiting room, and then we can get you queued up to come on the air. And if you have a question to ask, please try to keep it brief, like 30 seconds or less, and then we're going to clip the mic and move on to the answer because we want to make sure we get to as many people as possible. Xander, do we have Crackhead?
That's the one problem. Is his name was Crackhead.
I can't help the name.
Just
Oh man.
it would be his name would be Crackhead. Of course it would.
We've got Crack from Seattle. long time listener, first time caller.
Just bear with me 1 sec. Oh, okay, all right, okay. We've got Country Gamer as well. All right, let me.
Also, when
let
you
me
come
first
on,
get
just say
Country Gamer.
long time listener, first time caller. Just do that first. It's fun that way.
Just bear with me a second, guys. Crackhead, are you there? All right, great. I'm gonna drag you into a live room, and you'll be live. All right. Please mute your stream as well. Okay, I'm gonna drag him in.
Oh, and everybody in the audience, please hit that like button, smash the like button, and boost this stream.
Yeah.
Please hit that like button and boost this stream.
All right, we got Crackhead.
Crackhead, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Hello, guys.
All right, you're live, Crackhead.
Yeah, it's nice to have the opportunity to speak to you. Because you guys were talking about the tech in the stream. And I've got the question, there's lately been a lot of rumors and a lot of talk about certain scientists in the field who have written a lot of papers which could potentially explain a lot of this. So my question would be, have you ever heard of people like Kenneth Redford Shoulders or people like that, and maybe Salvatore Pais and some of those stuff? Yeah, if you maybe have an opinion on that, or if you're eager to investigate.
I've heard of, thank you, Crackhead, for the call. We'll go ahead and cut your mic and go to the response. I've heard of Salvatore Pais and his patents that were signed off on by the Navy, which he's known as the UFO patent guy. How about you guys? Pablo, Nathan?
I have heard about him.
I have not heard about them, but that's the type of content I like to look into, so I'm writing them down right now.
Yeah, and there's also we have to consider Hal Puthoff, because he's like one of the OGs in terms of creating scientific papers and working on patents, and he also worked over Miguel Alcubierre's the Alcubierre warp drive. He's Mexican like me, so those people are important to look at. But for example, Puthoff, we can't talk to him really. He only does like limited interviews because he's also right now under contract with a lot of people from the DoD and working for them. So there's pretty much nothing he can say in public about what he's working on, but he's definitely still working on stuff right now.
Hal Puthoff is one of the most interesting people in this entire space. He has worked on everything. You're right. He is the OG of OGs. He's been working on this stuff all the way back to the late 70s at Stanford Research Institute with Russell Targ doing the experiments on remote viewing. He worked with all of the best remote viewers in the early days of that project. And that ties into something you were saying earlier, Pavel, about the consciousness aspect of this whole thing, which seems to be coming out more and more. He also is part of a group there's a company called Sapphire, or they have a Sapphire reactor. And what is it's a Canadian energy company called the Sapphire Project. If you go to sapphireproject.com, I'll see if I can share this really quick. Since we're talking about alternative energy, let me go here. And here we go. Share. Oh, goodness. Where is it? Sapphire Project. Here we go. So this is the team. And there's Hal Puthoff right in the middle. Let's see who else is in here. James Ryder, Paul Anderson, chemist, engineer. So they've got this team, and their project is, let's do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 commercialization, phase 1. They have this thing called the Sapphire Reactor, and it's basically like trying to create the atmosphere of the sun to basically make some kind of new fusion power source, but through a completely different technique than has been done before. There's a cool video on the website, and we don't have time to get into it right now, but if anybody's interested, you can go to Sapphire, SAFIRE, sapphireproject.com, and you can look at some of their stuff. Here's a 49-second video talking about it. Orion Energy, AUREON, Orion Energy. So anyway,
those orbs in the background of the previous page, very interesting, because there's a lot of orbs that people have managed to get from either they crashed or that are like private collections. And there's a lot of people looking into orbs that seem old. They seem like they're made of stone. But these orbs apparently emit some kind of energy that makes people, like some people, even faint, and that was interesting that I saw that orb in the background
on the Sapphire Project site.
Yeah, in the first page where you were going down, up and down in the names, there were different types of orbs in the background that I saw, and I was like, "Oh, those look really similar to the previous page before that one."
I think it was
Look at
science.
those orbs in the background. Those look a lot like the private collected orbs that people have all around the world.
We've got somebody in. Oh yeah, here it is. This is the Sapphire reaction. It looks like one of those what is it called? That it's a glass ball with a thing in the middle, and it looks like it's shooting little lightning bolts out. And if you touch it, everybody had this in the 80s, but it looks like that. This is their setup right here. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and they're different ones too. So
Iron
maybe I
composite.
don't know if they got those orbs from those little crashes from all over the world. That's interesting.
We've got somebody in our group who has a bet. You're talking about the bet sphere, I think, is the most recognized thing. The big. It looks like a stainless steel ball, and we've been seeing a lot of these lately. This is that video I wanted to show earlier of the UAPs that are being hit by a missile. You can see these UAPs. They look like a sphere, and they're floating in the air. They're dropping something out of the bottom of the object. And you can see a missile comes in from out of frame and hits these things, explodes, and nothing happens. They don't even move.
That's wild.
Here you go. This could have something to do with why they're not shooting down the drones over Lakenheath. And then when this all clears, you can see that it's like nothing happened. They're still there. This is slowed down.
On the orbs, we have Coffee Bum who's waiting to talk, and Clint, the man has one of these. What's the name of them?
The bet sphere.
The bet.
That's right. Coffee Bum has one of those.
That's
right.
in possession of a bet sphere.
I forgot about that.
I can get him live right now if you want to talk to him.
Coffee Bum, are you there? Can we
get
get coffee?
Hang.
Let's see.
Hang on. All right, 2 seconds.
You never know where these shows are going to go. Every time we start one, it's like,
All right, he's live.
Coffee Bum.
Oh, hey guys.
Hey, man, are you there? All right.
I'm here. Brett was with me in the waiting room. I thought we were going to get him first, but here I am. I got a question real quick.
Go ahead.
Maybe a topic to think about. Everybody talks about the whistleblowers, the protections for them, getting legislation passed and all that kind of stuff. Trying to get them to come forward. What about someone who's a civilian who may have advanced technology? I mean, there's nothing, nobody ever talks about that. What about, say, if somebody's from one of these civilian companies and it's not a black program? Maybe he just stumbled onto something. What about a guy that's in the woods and he finds something that looks really, really strange? It's on his property. Does he own it? Is he obligated to turn that over for nothing? That I just got questions about that. I didn't know if the community was thinking about that or not. That's all I got.
Are you referring to the sphere that you've got?
Yeah. Kind of. In a roundabout way, yes. Yes.
I don't know how you have not taken an angle grinder to that sphere yet. I would have done that. I would have cut that thing in half.
I have taken an angle grinder to it. But think about this. If that is truly advanced technology, whatever's inside that thing is the atmosphere will tell us something. So if you penetrate the sphere and you don't test what's inside it, then you don't know what was inside it. Who knows? Maybe what's inside is reactive. Maybe it's a vacuum. Maybe it's under pressure. Could be either one with that kind of construction. It could be an intense vacuum. It could be under intense pressure. It could be a completely different atmosphere. I don't know. So
Can I ask you
whacking it
something?
into probably not a good idea. Yes, sir.
Can I ask you something?
Yes,
How
sir.
do you keep it stored?
Oh, it's just sitting in the yard, and not in the yard, in the room.
Do you stay
It's
close
been
to
in the
it?
yard. Yeah.
Have you ever felt any kind of weird physical reaction to it by being close to it?
I'm an experiencer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if it's from the sphere or not.
Okay. What have you felt?
Uh, I've shared about this in a Discord, so it's really not a big deal to talk about. What I experienced was what I believe was psychic contact with other entities.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit more about it? Can you get into any more detail?
Sure. I don't mind a bit. By psychic contact, I mean not just like that internal voice or internal monologue. Another mind, touching mind. It comes through as emotional usually. It travels through my emotional side, and then I have to translate it into words and concepts.
Does this have anything to do with where the sphere is in relationship to you at any given time? Like if you're closer to it or farther away, or can you
Not that I
connect
can.
it?
Not really. I've taken one trip away from it, pretty significant distance in the last couple of years, and it didn't matter.
Did you feel like
of course
the information that you got from this, let's call it a download, if you will, did this apply to anything specific in your life, or were you able to connect it to anything that was going on?
I've got several downloads. I mean, I've shared some of those in Discord. I shared one of them in Discord too. It's about what may be a type of sound therapy. And the thing about these downloads is I don't understand the technology they're talking about. It's not anything that I was trained in, so I don't know if there's anything to it or not.
So to answer your question about who you should talk to, like if you're specifically trying to find like somebody who can give you guidance on what to do next, I would tell you to do this. Like you need to get in touch at the New Paradigm Institute, and I can pass his information on to you. Tyler's a friend of the show. Here, let me transfer this screen share over and I'll see if I can get you to, here we go. New Paradigm Institute is the group that Danny Sheehan has put together. He defended John Mack at Harvard when they tried to take away his tenure when he was looking into abductions. Danny Sheehan has represented Lou Elizondo. He's represented Dr. Greer. Like, this guy is your guy. If he doesn't,
Yeah.
if he doesn't know the answer to that you're looking for, he will put you in contact with the person who does.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to find out if this thing is 100% mundane or not. That's the thing. I don't know. It's 50-50 for me, and I'm an experiencer. I think it's something weird, but I don't know for sure. I can't say that it is 100%. It could be just a lawn ornament or something that my dad found that, it's a weird story how he got it. But anyway, yeah, it's the civilian thing. I mean, everybody talks about the whistleblowers, the black programs and stuff. And I was in the military, but I was never in a black program. I mean, never in 20 and back or any of that crap either, man. Come on. But yeah, if you can put me in touch with him, that'd be cool. Awesome.
I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
There are I used to find these apps for like Android or iPhone or something like that, and what they would do is they would kind of hijack the like the compass inside of the phone, and then tell you what like magnetic fields were. I'd be really interested in like what would happen if you were to use an app like that and put it near the object.
Well, you see, I've done some things with this orb, with this spear, whatever it is. Okay. And I've come down to finally whacking it with an angle grinder, like Clint said, but not all the way through. I was careful. I did not go. I estimated the thickness of the shell, and I went just under that thickness with my cut, and I got a piece out that I could test now. I've also got kerf from the bandsaw cuts that I made. So I've got material that can be tested. I just don't have the money to send it off to test it. I'm a poor dude. I'm a country boy. Never mind. But that's the deal. I wouldn't mind having some of that stuff tested. It's, if it's mundane, I'll make knives out of it. I will whack it in half, and I'll make blades out of it. They make great blades.
Can I show Coffee Bum? I've got a picture that you sent me of the sphere. Can I show some?
Sure, no problem.
Is that all right? Can I show the one that you're holding it?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, stand by.
Yeah, it gives a sense of scale. Yeah.
Just so people can understand what we're talking about here. Let me open this up. Hang on, it's going to take me just 1 second.
Yeah, the stream's kind of lagging for me, so I'm not even watching. I'm just talking. So
hang on 1 second. Let me get my images. All right, so this is you holding the sphere, and just so we can get a sense of scale here, let me do a screen share. And it looks exactly like what you think it would look like. I mean,
tell me it does. Tell me. Come on.
I mean, if you Google Bet's sphere,
hold on, wait a second.
Like that. It's heavier. Yeah.
Okay, like look at how reflective it is, and it kind of compares to the reflectivity of that last photo that I got.
Yes.
In the sun.
I know. You see, think about camouflage. If you had something that was reflective and it was hanging out in those trees behind me, you wouldn't see it. Just physically. It's a round mirror. It reflects light weird. Right? You get it in the shade in those trees behind me, you would not see that.
It looks exactly like the Bet sphere. I mean, it looks like the exact same thing. I'm looking at a picture of it online, and
well, the Bet sphere had a triangle on the side. This does not have that. This has some markings on it. I've sent you some pictures of those.
Yeah, I see that, and then there's some pictures of let's see here. There's one with it looks like you've got a stack of magnets on top of it.
Yes.
Let me
there's a little. I didn't have a big one. It's just to show that it's magnetic. And now keep in mind, this is set in the yard in South Georgia, like in the yard, in the elements for 50 years. It is a bit pitted. It's not covered with rust. It looks pretty damn good for that.
Have you attempted to measure its resistance with a multimeter?
Look, anything that I do would be suspect.
Okay.
Anything that I've done to it would be suspect, right? Because I'm the guy with the thing. I'm the guy who could be the grifter, who's trying to make money, who's trying to become famous, right? I mean, that's what the community would think. So I would like to have all that tested. I've got a piece big enough to test for that. So yeah.
Have you spoken to Patrick Jackson?
I've interacted with Patrick some, yeah, but he's on the other side of the world in a different country, and I'm in the United States, and we can't really meet and talk and all that. So I've just got to try to pursue this. I know that it's probably what he is talking about. I mean, it may if it's not part of that network, it's what one of those things would look like. All right. If it's not one of those, it's what one would look like.
I know that like I've heard like Danny is plugged into everybody. Like he can get Gary Nolan on the phone. He can get like all these guys on the phone. Nolan
had one. Nolan had one he was studying that Ross had dug up from Texas. Okay. Ross Coulthard dug up that one from Texas.
I saw that.
And
Yeah.
I remember that. And in a recent interview, I can't remember which one I watched, Mr. Nolan said that he was not studying that anymore because he did not see it come out of the sky or whatever. So, which makes sense. I mean, the man is doing it, on his own time, on his own dime. So he needs to do what he wants to do.
I think that's the big challenge right now is like, how do you find out, like, if you are sitting on something that is really unique? Like,
dude, I'm not taking this motherfucker to Arrow. I guarantee you.
But why not? You don't trust Arrow?
Jesus,
you don't trust the
DOD?
My advice is, man, get in.
Hey, here's what I do. I am not going to sell this overseas. I'm not going to talk to any foreign agents. I'm not going to talk to any foreign actors. If somebody comes from a different country and approaches me, I will turn them into the FBI. That's how serious I am.
It sounds like you're pretty serious. I would say let me get you in contact with Tyler. Reach out to Tyler. I'll set up an email and introduce the two of you, and then I think just follow that trail and
that'd be
see
awesome,
where
brother.
He'll get you where you need to go at the very least.
Man, I'd appreciate it. You guys are great.
And then we'll follow up with you and we'll see what we can find out.
Yeah. Hey, either way, it's a hell of a story. I mean, whatever.
It is a hell of a story. I'm curious as anybody. I want to see what's inside this thing.
Think about what I'm like, man. Shit. It's been years.
Man.
It's a mystery. Have you ever considered reaching out to Corbell or Knapp?
I have. They're busy. They haven't responded to me yet. But like you say, that's just one email out of a fire hose of emails that those guys get. So who knows?
Yeah, fair enough. Well, let me set you up with Tyler and we'll see where we can go from there.
Hey, thanks, Clint.
All right, Coffee Bump. Thanks for the call. Do we have anybody else who wants to call?
I think Mr. Immaculate was on the chat for a little bit, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yes, he was. I don't know if he said anything.
How do we know? How do you know?
Was it a username?
I saw people were asking if he was Mr. Immaculate, but I couldn't find who was talking or who was writing.
I don't. Yeah, maybe there are. Maybe, I don't know.
We got one last call from one of our mods, actually, Brett, and he has been doing an insane amount of like work in the background to actually scrutinize the images. So he's probably a good guy to bring in right now.
Brett is our resident military expert veteran who knows what he's looking at, and he has a lot of excellent knowledge on this. Brett, are you there?
I am. First time listener, long time caller.
Hey, Brett.
How you doing, my dude? Hey, man.
So, Brett, where's your head at with this?
Hit me. With that, those two distorted images are my bag. that show the like a distortion bloom. I need to go into those, and I really want some high res images of those. So if we have what's his name, Mr. Immaculate. Sorry, I've been calling him Dylan for the last 3 days. If Mr. Immaculate, if you're still here, please get those images high res to me so I can analyze them properly. But what I actually wanted to talk about was free energy not being free. It's a huge misnomer because there's still going to be infrastructure. You're still going to have to pay your bills. We're just going to be taking technology in a new direction. And it'll be cleaner and safer, I hope, if it's in the right hands, you know.
I think that's yeah. You would plug it into the existing infrastructure first, right? Like you would
absolutely
build.
Yeah.
You would build a power plant using this technology, and then plug it into the grid, and then over time, I guess you would adjust the grid to be more efficient until eventually we get where we're trying to go, whatever that is.
Correct.
But it would be like a sea change overnight.
I mean,
Yeah,
the sun,
you just
the
need
sun is free
to.
energy.
Sorry, go on. Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. Solar
It's
power is
just
getting really
need
good now as well.
infrastructure.
Yeah, it's so. I wish it was really free energy, but I don't think it's going to be.
Brett, while we got you on the phone here,
yeah,
real quick,
hit me.
can you what you did some analysis of the photos that Nathan got on the Strange Mysteries
Yes.
case? Can you talk a little bit about what you took away from that as you looked at these heads-up displays? And
so, well, the first few images that don't have a heads-up, they're really clean. So I don't like them at all. It's like they've been maybe photoshopped or something. Not that we can prove that, but there's nothing in the background to say, oh, look, there's some clouds or trees. There's nothing there, just like a boomerang. Or I forget what the 1967 one was called. The chandelier I like, but it's not. Again, it's under that same area. But once you get into the HUD screens, I've checked every HUD screen from every American and US Five Eyes system. None of them match up at all with what I'm seeing. So if I'm to guess, these images are at least 20 years old. At least. Some of them might be newer, or they could be from foreign countries. Brazil sends a lot of stuff to the US, as we've kind of figured out through Virginia and Colores, is it, Clint?
Colores, Brazil, yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like the US has been taking a lot of stuff from them. There's an agreement somewhere along the line. I don't know what other countries have in that regard, because that's all in the shadows. But
even in that case,
noisier the picture. Oh, go on.
The actual the actual platform is there are only a few companies that manufacture it. They're just selling it all over the world to different militaries, but it's like
yes and no. I mean, if you're in America, you're looking at Raytheon's the big boy. Sea Sapphire is a good one as well. That's not Raytheon. Marconi, GC back in, and BAE back in the UK. But then when it comes to France, they've got their own one for the Rafale aircraft. And then whatever China's got, Thailand, Philippines, anywhere in the Eastern Hemisphere, I've got no idea what kind of tech they've got. So I can only go by what I know.
So from what you've seen, it's not you're not familiar with any platform that resembles what you're seeing in these pictures, is what you're saying?
No, absolutely. So I'm like 95% certain it's not Raytheon. Certainly none of the HUDs match up with any of the things that they do there. So yeah, I'm going to keep looking and digging. But if anybody's got high-res images with IR that's grainy, I know it sounds stupid because it's a noisy picture, but when you've got the noise, you see like the distortion blooms and stuff. And I was asking you, Clint, with photography about whether like light angles match up with normal photography, because I'm just interested to see if that's an observable within an image that I haven't thought of and won't be able to recognize, you know.
I don't think based on, I don't think any of my experience in photography can really reveal anything about these pictures because there's not enough to work with. I don't know anything about.
Okay.
Yeah, I would need more to make that determination. There's just so many ways to fake stuff too, and it's a hard one. I don't think I can add anything useful.
Well, hey, you're adding useful stuff everywhere else, mate. So we groovy.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it, Brett. Thanks for the call. We have, I think, one or two other callers in the waiting room. We're going to see. We got Crackhead, Flow Herder, and Cargo Cultish. We'll wrap up with these last calls, and then I think we're going to wrap the show for the day.
We're going to go.
Cargo
Okay,
is.
bye.
Hold on. I was assuming. I've already told them that we can't.
Bye,
Really
Brett.
Brett, as a
Cheers,
mod,
mate.
I'm about to kick you out of this room. Let's go. He's gone. I kicked him. All right. I can maybe bring in Cargo Cultish. He had quite a lot of stuff, so it's all dependent on how much time you've got.
Well, Cargo has been emailing me a lot.
Okay, so we'll skip those then. I think we can come back to those. We'll have a look at the emails and because I can see the same sort of stuff, and it's stuff that I want to take some time to look at, and it's not necessarily time that we have live on stream to have a look at, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of words that I need to read.
Too many words. I'm not good with those. All right, guys. So anything else we want to cover for today? But I think we've gone over about 20 minutes, and we covered a lot of ground today. Anything else we haven't talked about, Nathan, that you want to talk about?
I'm a little depressed that I lost my contact with this guy.
I don't think you've lost anything.
No.
But I was hoping for some really crazy stuff. Who knows?
Look, I think if it's legit and it's really important, they won't stop contacting you, because this is more important than some inadvertent comment that I still don't know what is offensive.
Like the
It
YouTube
transcends
algorithm, the YouTube algorithm is trained very hard on his story. So if if he goes to someone else, he's gonna be starting over. Like if you watch some of those videos, then it shows like you right when there's a new one out. So his audience is with me for now.
I think, look, we want this to be real. We want it to work. We would love, I think everybody in this space would love to be the person who gets like the leak that's going to change everything. I just think that, we've been at this channel, we've been dealing with this since day one. This has been our whole wheelhouse. Pavel deals with it all the time on his channel. Like the UAP space has been like really digging into this since 2017. It's been pretty intense. So to come to the game now, you've got to be bringing something that's really substantial, because we've had a lot of time to see all kinds of stuff, and it's hard to know, what's real and what's not. I don't think you've lost anything, and I think that if this person is offended by whatever, if what you said today is that offensive that they're willing to just like pack up and go home, well then you don't have time for that anyway. They're wasting.
They probably would have done it eventually anyway.
I just don't, I think that says more about them than it says about you. You haven't done anything that, you seem like a person who is genuinely trying to get to the bottom of this. You're genuinely just as confused as the rest of us are. You want to understand more about what's happening. I watched your videos. You were very clear up front. You said, look, I want to see video. I want to see 4K. I want to see high res. You were asking all the right questions that all of us are asking. And rightfully so. We should all be suspicious of anybody who comes forward and says that they've got this super secret information and they're from some ninja program. Nobody should just take that at face value. We have to come at these people hard, and we have to ask questions. I'm not saying that we should all be debunkers, but we should be critical thinkers. We need to be asking like, okay, well, who are you? Where are you from? What are you talking about? Why is this significant? Why is this different than anything else we've seen so far? Why should we take you seriously? Give us something to work with. And I think you've done that. I think you've made a very strong good faith effort to communicate what you've been given to the best of your ability. If that's not good enough for them, then oh well.
Yeah.
There's going to be more.
I think you're quite right, Nathan, about 4K specifically. We are advancing very fast in AI generation and stuff. 4K video is probably one of the last bastions of footage that's as yet still quite hard to imitate. People can still spot that uncanny valley quite quickly. I see it all the time. So asking for 4K video, you've maybe got 6 months left before asking for 4K video becomes irrelevant, because everything released after that is just going to be so believable. I saw one earlier today, and it was quite clearly like somebody had written a prompt for, and it looked so real. People were literally in the comments on this Reddit post saying like, what's that? And it's like, well, it's AI, but it really does look that believable. So we really don't have much time. If this person is sincere in their efforts and they have access to this, you don't have long. If you want people to know the truth, put aside all of the ego and the niceties. We have the right to have this, so let's share it and see what everyone thinks. We don't have long left before it requires people to land on the White House lawn. That's going to be the next thing, is like, we have to see them for ourselves with our own eyes. That's going to be the only option left within a year.
I think you nailed it. I mean, that's where we're at. The time is now. There's never been a better time. Everyone's interested. Everyone's paying attention. We're all switched on. Congress is paying attention. The whistleblower protector people are all in place. Everyone is ready to go. Tyler has reached out to you. New Paradigm Institute is staffed full of attorneys this is what they do. They are ready to believe.
It's like if you're going to do it, do it.
And as the whistleblower said, let the holy war begin. Just let it happen. Let's light the fire.
That sounds so ominous. I don't know if I like that.
I was the one who added that at the end, actually.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh,
why did you say that though at the end?
I just thought it was funny. That's it.
Okay.
And then he's like, "Yeah, it's okay. You can keep it."
Okay.
So he at least endorsed it.
But if the whistleblower does want to come back and do like some kind of other exchange, or find another way to communicate more directly, or maybe what we could do is submit some more questions to them and get some more answers back, like you've been doing in your email exchanges, I think there might be an opportunity there to keep this conversation going. I would say to them, please don't write Nathan off, and don't write the community off, because we're asking hard questions. We're asking hard questions because we've been bullshitted before. And that's our job, is to ask hard questions. We're not here to just like believe anything.
I think if I was to give a message to him, it would be that if we were to communicate again, that we would need to set more specific parameters on what he does and does not want me to talk about, because that was left very vague. Like, there's a lot more information that he told me that I was a little surprised about.
Well, if he's watching, what's your walk away message before we end the show? What's your final message to the whistleblower, if you could say one last thing?
I mean, like, if we try to keep this going, then we just need to set up better parameters on what you want to and not want to be said, and not have it implied.
Fair enough.
We also need to get something else from him. Some kind of confirmation that he is who he says he is. We can't just blindly trust someone who tries to leak something, because even if he is from the government, we don't know the intention or the intent. So at least a professional journalist needs to have your information or something about you that can prove you are who you say you are, just for security. That's it.
Yeah, that is the process. Yeah. Go to Ross Coulthard. He will be able to confirm or whatever, and make sure that he'll check that information against his other sources, and he'll know. Or Chris Sharp, or there's numerous people that are trustworthy. Michael Schellenberger is another one. Michael Schellenberger, on Capitol Hill in front in a congressional hearing, straight up was like, I will not reveal my sources. You can ask me to. I'm not doing it. End of story. So like, you know, the integrity is there. Those people are there. They're ready to believe you. They're ready to listen. And if the story's got legs, then it will live and it will go on. All right, gang. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it there. It's been a great show. Nathan, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and go through this. I know it was a little bit stressful for you, and I'm sorry that we put you on the spot a little bit, but I hope you understand. It's all, we're here with you. We want to see this thing go all the way, and we want to believe it. So hopefully we'll get some more information.
Yeah.
Pavel, thank you so much as always for dropping in. Thank you to everyone at home for watching. Thanks to our members for supporting the channel. Thanks to everybody on the Discord for being a part of the coolest conversation happening anywhere on this planet for sure. Keep it coming. Light us up in the comments. Let us know what you think about this. Do you think that the Mr. Immaculate leak is for real? Do you think it's a hoax? Let us know. If you're not already a subscriber, consider subscribing. And don't forget to like and share this video anywhere you think it could be appreciated. We will see you on the next one. Until then, keep looking up.
Clint, are you still there?
Mm-hmm.
I've just remembered. We're still live, obviously. I've just remembered I need to announce when this here Night Shift album is being released.
Are you cutting into the closing credits?
I'm cutting into the closing credits. I hope
Oh
you
my
don't
God,
mind.
this is a treat for everybody who stayed to the end of the credits. It's like in a movie. Xander, take it away.
So, yeah, the Night Shift album is ready to go. And providing everything goes well over the next week, we're looking at a release date of... It's not long. It is the 20th.
Ooh,
The 20th
just in
of
time
December.
for Christmas.
Just in time for Christmas. I'll release plenty of more details.
How many songs?
10.
Nice.
10 songs.
10. I've heard some of them. They're really good.
Anyway,
They're so good.
We'll talk about it more. Here you go. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.